Spoilers for The Last of Us HBO. Watch at your own risk. Please don't witch hunt or attack anyone I talk about in this video. Okay, so we are now at a new point in human society, a new conspiracy theory, the gay agenda. What is it? Well, it depends on who you ask, which means it's not a concrete thing despite having some grounds in reality. To me, it's any sort of media, books, video games, movies, TV, etc. that inserts a gay, queer, or bi character for no reason other than having said diverse character. Said character is usually either a minor side character, or their sexuality is only mentioned once or twice to let the audience know that this random nobody is gay. Now, why is this an issue? Well, that's tokenism. Just have a gay character for no reason other than having a gay character to market it to a community. Generally, these types of characters have their sexuality revealed in an incredibly brief and mute point in the story, so the audience knows this character is gay, but also in a moment so fast that it can be censored quickly for overseas audience, such as is the case of Disney properties. Another example is Billy Eichner's Bros movie, which was made for gay people, by gay people, as a way to tell straight people to fuck off, and that this is the new normal. Bros was made with the intentions of being a gay movie to make people like The Quartering uncomfortable, and thank God it didn't do well, because I would have had a ton of issues if it did. Now, to me, this is just kind of offensive. This is not representation, this is pandering. Representation is a good thing, pandering isn't. But not everything needs representation, and entirely depends on the context of the story. If you're writing a World War II story, the sexuality of a character is completely irrelevant because in that time period, being who you are is illegal. So having a trans man storming the beaches of Normandy is incredibly stupid because that would not have been possible. The context of what you are writing is important, such as the case for The Last of Us HBO. Now, this show is generating a bit of controversy from a very small minority on the internet who hate the fact that there are two on-screen gay romances. A very common argument I hear, and I know someone is going to want to say, but Varsity, in the show, the outbreak happens in 2003, so gay people weren't allowed to be gay then. And to that I say, get the fuck over it. The Last of Us HBO is not something like Lightyear, which had Buzz Lightyear's commander a lesbian for no other reason than having a lesbian character that can be easily edited out. Unlike most other pieces of media, Last of Us HBO actually takes the time and effort to make its gay characters. If you have an issue with that, you just must not like gay people. Sure, you cannot like the characters themselves. There are plenty of reasons to not like at least one of the characters in the show. But hating the show on the principle that there are gay characters in it, get the fuck over yourself. First off, there are no governments or rules enforcing the anti-gay sentiment that the world had in 2003. So in the case of Bill and Frank, there's nothing holding them back from fucking each other in the ass. Second, in the case of Ellie and Riley, they are in secret, hiding from everyone else when Ellie kisses Riley. That's how gay lovers interacted in the past, and that's how many continue to do in the modern day in places it's taboo. Hence the topic of the video. The YouTuber named The Quartering had one of the most brain-dead, stupid takes on the gay agenda I have ever seen. My old pal Synthetic Man also has a terrible take on it as well. This one being a bit older of a video. Guys, this is not a hill you want to take a stand on because you're surrounded by hills much larger than you. Oh yeah, real fast, if you think this gives you an excuse to go after The Quartering and call him a Nazi or whatever, fuck off. I've watched him for a while and he is not a Nazi. So if you're from The Quartering is a Nazi subreddit, hi, welcome. If you're hoping I'm going to condemn him like he's the next Hitler, fuck off. He's not a Nazi just because he has different views than you and might say dumb shit like this. Get over yourself. Stop comparing him to some of the worst people in human history. Okay, so let's stop procrastinating and jump right into this. Heavy spoilers for episode 3 and 7, by the way.
The cast seems to be happy to kind of poke the bear a little bit. Here we have a CNN article from today saying, The Last of Us actress Storm Reed has advice for homophobic viewers of the show. What?
Why are you surprised that they had to make an article about this at all? It's people like you who are the reason why this kind of article is needed to be made. If you legitimately think that because the show has portrayed gay people in it and has an on-screen gay romance, that makes it woke, you are homophobic. That's all there is to it. It's okay if you can accept that. If you can accept that you are homophobic, that's fine. I don't care. But if you're going to go out of your way, like you are right here, to try to, oh, they're doing this to try to trick us. They're doing this because they're trying to spread an agenda. You're just, I don't even know what to say. You're homophobic. That's all there is. You're going to need some advice for watching the show then. I don't understand how this is such an outlandish thing for you. I don't understand how you think that her having to say that to homophobic viewers who might be interested in the show might need some advice on how to watch the show if they're so homophobic.
Reed Storm shared her thoughts about one thing that has raised ire among the viewers of the HBO drama, the depiction of LGBTQ relationships, which is, of course, a big deal to the director for some reason.
The only people who are making a big deal out of it are people like you. The director included it, and I will admit, it's not very well fleshed out in that particular episode, but he included it to develop Ellie and Riley's relationship. I don't understand how you're so stupid that you can't accept that you don't understand that. Furthermore, why the fuck is it an issue at all that he decided to include that? He developed the characters. If this was just thrown in there, like in the case of Lightyear, that's one thing to complain about. That's not the case at all here. You're just upset that there are two girls that kiss in the show. That's all there is to it.
19-year-old star talked to EW about the homophobic backlash following episode 3, which was really the biggest crime was that it was boring. They implied that those characters were gay in the video game. In the movie, this is like a perfect example. Like they imply it in the video game, but in the television show, they come right out and say it and give you a full episode of it, which is really, it's just like a gay romance for a full hour. Now, if you're into that, more power to you. You probably really like that episode, but I found it to be extremely boring.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Episode 3 was pretty much just filler. Bill and Frank were side characters, and they ultimately didn't add anything to the plot. You can pretty much skip episode 3 and its entirety, and you will not miss anything at all. So yeah, okay, that's fair. You don't like episode 3 because it adds nothing to the plot. Awesome, I totally understand. Episode 7, same thing. That entire episode was mostly a flashback. And yeah, it was a good episode, but it's got a bit of an annoying shift from what happened earlier with Joel being stabbed and bleeding out. And we spend the episode in a flashback. Sure, it establishes to us that Ellie won't leave Joel, but it is a flashback episode, which usually just aren't that good. But if you're upset it has a gay romance in it, you're the problem. Unlike most other things, they took the time to develop Bill and Frank's characters and romance. They spent an hour crafting this love story. That's not woke. That's not poking the bear. If that's what bothers you, well, I can't change that about you, but you just must hate gay people. That said, there are things about the episode you can dislike, of course. Me personally, I hate sex scenes and I hate kissing scenes. PDA makes me uncomfortable. I don't like seeing straight people have sex in movies. I don't like seeing gay people have sex in movies. Implications for that are fine. If I wanted to see a sex scene, I'd go on Pornhub. But I also don't throw a fit and turn off the TV when I see it happening. I just look at my phone for a few seconds until the scene ends. Sure, if you're like me, there's nothing wrong with not wanting to see those scenes. You want to see two men fucking each other in the ass, there's a website for that. So I get it, if that's why you're not happy with the episode, because it has kissing and sex. But if you're upset the kissing and sex is because the characters are gay, that's you. That's your own phobia of gay people.
Interview, though, with Inverse, regarding the third episode of the series, Hoare was asked how he approached directing actors Nick Offerman and Murray Bartlett through the episode. As part of his answer, he stated, quote, "Sometimes you have to trick the rest of the world into watching these things before they're like, oh my God, it was two guys. I just realized. I think then they might understand it's all real and it's just the same love.
Oh no! The developers of the show reeled you in into being accepting of the fact gay people exist in the world and have relationships. How many straight romance movies do the same thing? They introduce a girl and a guy and they make you think he's dating her, but in actuality, he's banging some other chick. How is that any different? How is it wrong that they're showing and developing Bill and Frank's relationship into being gay lovers?
So you could read this really charitably and say, oh, he's just saying that he really wanted it to be organic and then we didn't want it to be, too forced.
Yeah, that's exactly what he means. It's organic. It's not forced. It's developed. That's how relationships work. What's the issue? That it's two men? Oh, the horror. You don't start banging a chick at a bar every night and then suddenly get married. You hang out, you go on dates, you do non-sexual things together and learn about each other and get closer together. If you do just marry some random chick after banging her for several months, that relationship will fail. That's the entire reason why they wrote Bill and Frank the way they did.
Or you could read it like many of us do and say, interesting. You're literally saying, yeah, we think about these things beforehand and then we cram it into the show and we try to trick you to watching it. I look at this obviously because it's Hollywood extremely uncharitably. I think that this is like an open admission that we're more interested in tricking the audience into propaganda than putting together a good show.
That's not what tricking is. Sure, I can see how a smooth brain like you would think you're being tricked into watching it because it's a really well-written romance, but everything you have said was wrong. Cramming it in? Okay, sure, maybe it was crammed in, seeing as it's a side story that doesn't affect the main plot. Sure, that's an argument you can make. If that's the issue, again, that's reasonable. Also, let's just pretend that the entirety of the thought process of the show was, yes, let's make the first 2 episodes really good so we can have the 3rd episode being 2 gay guys blowing each other. Why does that bother you? If the writing is good, the characters are developed, and the plot makes sense, why is that an issue? Or is it an issue because you hate gay people? There is a correct answer to this question.
They could have had the relationship and maybe they could have spent more time fighting zombies. They had all those traps set up, right? All these intricate traps that you saw for like a split second.
That's fair. That's reasonable. They don't fight infected that much in this episode. The traps don't have much of a payoff. I'll take your word for this and assume you're genuine that you do in fact not care it's dude on dude.
I think that that would have been better than they could have than just focusing on them lovemaking and all this boring day-to-day relationship stuff that you would never see in a modern show between a man and a woman. So I think that that's pretty obvious. The fact that they were both, white men is even more shocking.
Okay, you threw your argument away. That you would never see between a man and a woman? What the fuck are you talking about? You mean in a show? Have you seen any rom-com in your life? They 100% focus on the boring aspects of love in a comedic way. Also, why is it surprising that it's 2 white men? They're white in the game. Yeah, the show took some creative liberties and race-swapped a few characters, but that's fine because the show isn't an adaptation of the game. It's inspired by the game. It's like a Batman movie. Heath Ledger's Joker doesn't act like the Joker from the comics. That's because The Dark Knight isn't an adaptation of any moment in one Batman comic. It's inspired by it. 90% of a Last of Us adaptation would be pretty boring to watch on TV, because a lot of it would be them constantly getting into fights with humans and infected every 2 seconds.
But it's not the same love. What the show and the director are trying to depict as love is anything but. What they are depicting is sin and lust. Now, if you are a religious person, I could see taking this position. I am not anti-religious. I'm very open with my audience that I don't have super strong religious convictions, but I also totally respect those that do. But this article talks about, obviously what you might read in the Bible and things of that nature. Despite the obvious truth, though, actress Bella Ramsey revealed that the show would continue to push sin as a normal behavior.
Okay, sure, fine. If you're a religious person and you really care about the Bible and think it is a sin and lust, Alright, you can hold these thoughts. But then why are you watching any movies ever? Most movies and TV shows have the good guys sin in some way. Swearing is a sin depending on your religion, and a lot of people swear, so why isn't that an issue? Lots of characters in action movies kill tons of bad guys without mercy or remorse, and that's 100% a sin because most of the time they're not doing it in self-defense, so why is that not an issue? In 007 movies, James Bond is constantly fucking girls in them. Why is that not an issue? Because that is 100% a sin. I get it. It can be uncomfortable being around gay people. There's nothing wrong with being uncomfortable with these things in concept. But if your uncomfort has extended to the point that you think it should not be shown on TV because of your religious beliefs, then turn it off. Not everything is made for Christians, just like not everything is made for non-Christians. Sorry, but if you're a heavily religious person, or you're trying to be, there are certain things that you probably should not divulge yourself in, like pornography. And if you are heavily religious, you don't get to pick and choose on what you want to believe in.
She told GQ, quote, I know some people will think what they want to think, but they're going to have to get used to it. If you don't want to watch a show because it has gay storylines, because it has a trans character, that's on you and you're missing out. It isn't going to make me afraid. I think it comes from a place of defiance. Yeah, really bold.
Yeah, it is defiance because people like you are upset at these people existing. You're defying trans people rights to be human because of your religious beliefs. And no, I'm not going after religion here. I'm going after zealots of said religion, people who get upset trans people exist and gay characters have a romance. Sure, it's a sin. Sure, God doesn't approve. Who gives a fuck? Let them burn in hell then because they're too far from being saved. Why is it that I, a Mormon, who's lived in a Mormon town my whole life, who's been surrounded by Mormons, has only encountered one Mormon who hated gay people? Even my edgelord friends in high school who'd make homophobic jokes were way more accepting of gay people existing than people upset at The Last of Us. Almost everyone at my job is LDS or has LDS ties, and they've seen the show and don't care. Sure, some of them do think it's a sin, but they can understand that it's fiction and in a show, and don't let their beliefs override their entertainment of the show.
It's like coming out in Hollywood as gay in 2023. Boring. It's not heroic or bold. Now that's why all these other genders are coming out now. Because they couldn't get the same clout. Her fellow actress, Storm Reed, also recently told Variety, I think Bella put it perfectly a couple weeks ago, if you don't like it, don't watch. There are so many other things to worry about in the world. I think being concerned about who people love is just absurd to me. I just don't. I will never understand it. I don't get it, she added. Look, I actually agree with that statement.
Whoa, what? You agree? Then why did you make this video? Why did you make this video at all? Because nothing that you have talked about here is propagandist at all.
I watched the first couple episodes, and it just didn't hit me. I think for me, the part of it was just picking up momentum, and then you get episode 3, which is a 1-hour-long love story.
So episode 3 was the turnoff because there's gay people in it. Okay. I'm not saying you need to keep watching something you're not enjoying, but come on, dude. You enjoyed the first 2 episodes, but then after an hour-long gay love story, you didn't want to watch the show anymore? What a dumb fucking reason to not want to watch something. Holy shit. Man, I'm curious what you think about TV shows and movies that have really dumb moments about halfway through. Do you keep watching those too? Or do you just turn those off and go on to something else? This isn't a Velma situation where the first episode is so ungodly bad that quitting there makes sense. You stop watching something because it explicitly has gay characters? Holy shit, Jeremy, you're a fucking idiot. It's not shoving anything down your throat.
Forcing it on people. If the show has an audience, they probably haven't been tricked, but rather agree with everything Peter Hoare is saying. The rest of us don't have to watch, and without an audience, it will go the way of so many other shows to substitute representation for good writing.
I'm replying to that dumbass comment here. That's exactly what they did, you dumb fuck. They wrote these characters well, and that's not enough for you. You're a bigot. There's no other word for it. You just don't like gay people. And that's okay, but you're a bigot.
I think that it's a little creepy that they're going to say, oh, well, we really got to push this or that.
So, it's creepy they wanted to have gay romances? Why? Why is that creepy? Why is that bad? You do not answer why it's an issue other than woke. How on earth is this creepy? This isn't Thor Love and Thunder where they made characters gay and that was it. Thor 4 had no development for the characters other than they're gay. The Last of Us is not that. Sure, maybe it's creepy to see two people making out and having sex. I agree to that, straight or otherwise. I don't want to see that, so I understand that sentiment. But that doesn't mean I forego watching something because a guy and girl are fucking. That's stupid and petty. I'm sorry, but if it's bad to have well-written gay characters in the show and that's propaganda, there's a word for those thoughts. And look, I'm not saying the show is perfect. It's got some issues. I'm not saying episode 3 is flawless. It's got issues. But boycotting the show on the principle of there being gay characters in it? What more do you want me to say? How many times can I say it? That's homophobic. That is bigoted. As much as those words get thrown around like a baseball, that's just the case. It's not like this is a porn site where you can pick which videos to watch. Not wanting to watch a gay porn is fine, but not wanting to watch a TV show that's well written because an episode had gay characters in it is a problem on your part, and you need to work on getting over it.